Princess Yona watches as an army of soldiers march forward while Hack tells her that they have to depart soon. In the present, Yona lives in the Hiryu castle of the kingdom of Kuka along with her father, who is the king, has no male heir nor any queen who can bear him an heir. One day, the king announces to the people that it's been 10 years since the death of his father the former king and that no wars have broken out in the last 10 years even though the country is surrounded by powerful nations. The king's general Hack asks an attendant where Yona is and he informs him that she is still getting ready, which makes him realize that someone special must be coming, due to which she is getting so much ready. She decides to change her clothes and just then the king walks inside to inform her that the session is over. She apologizes to him and then starts yapping about how her hair isn't beautiful. General Hack comments that the problem isn't with her hair but with her brain, which never seems to work, and they both argue with one another like old friends. The king tries telling her that Hack is one of the 5 palace generals from the Wind tribe who should be respected, but she doesn't listen to him and Hack points out that she must be worrying so much because of Suan. He reveals that Suan has already arrived, so she storms outside to meet him. Suan is actually her childhood friend who has always treated her nicely, due to which she has the hots for him. She ends up running into him and he pats her head and Hack watches all of this from a distance. In the past, Yona had stopped sleeping or eating after the death of her mother, so Suan consoled her by sleeping with her while holding hands. In the present, Yona thinks that he is the most special person to her and she goes to the archery site where Hack and Suan are practicing archery together on horses. They both shoot arrows at their targets and Yona whines to the king that she wants to practice archery too, but he warns her not to do anything dangerous. She keeps whining about not spending time with Suan, so he asks her to ride on the horse with him. He makes her sit with him and she comments like a petty woman that he must be used to bringing lots of women into the mansion. He reveals that there have been some talks about his engagements and she lies to him that she has gotten a lot of proposals as well. She lies that even Hack has proposed to her and he in return congratulates her. Later, she whines about the whole situation and the king says that he cannot let her marry Suan because her husband will be the future king. The king reminds her that her mother was killed by insurgents, so she would be putting Suan in danger by marrying him. Later she thinks that Suan would not want to marry her either because he thinks she is still a child, and she starts crying about her non-existent love life. Just then a strange man lunges at her and she makes a run for it as she recalls how insurgents killed her mother too. She dashes into Suan's room and somebody grabs her from behind, but it turns out to be Suan himself. She informs him that someone is chasing her, but he doesn't see anyone in the hallway. He comforts her by putting a robe overhead and she thinks that they shouldn't be together because he may be in danger too, but he thinks that she is only thinking about Hack. He offers to take her to his headquarters instead, and before he leaves, she calls him out and tells him that she loves him. He replies that he cannot let himself see her as a woman since he always thought of her as a younger sister. He starts to turn red and she thinks that it's enough that he can now think of her as a woman. 5 days later a banquet is thrown for her 16th birthday and Suan gives her a hairpin as a birthday gift. She comments that her red hair is very unruly and won't hold any ornaments, but he in return tells her that he really loves her hair. Hack interrupts them to tell Yona that the king is looking for her and she tells him that she is going to rest up. She walks away and Suan advises him to keep an eye on all the people entering the castle, which makes Hack think that he needs to post more guards at the courtyard. Later, Yona heads to the king's room, only to find Suan stabbing her father. She rushes to the king's side and asks Suan to fetch a doctor, but Suan reminds her that he is the king's killer. Sometime later the guards throw Yona on the ground to kill her and Hack jumps in front of her. He takes out all of the guards and then demands to know from Suan why he is doing this. Some time ago, Hack overheard a few guards talking that all the guests are fast asleep and they only need to take care of Hack for now. Meanwhile, Yona asks Suan why he would kill her father who always took care of him, and he tells her about his own father Yuhan, who was supposed to be originally the king. He was courageous and won many battles as well, but the former king made Yona's father the king on his death. Despite this decision, Yuhan accepted his fate and he still wanted to fight for his country at the front line, but he was soon killed by Yona's father with a sword. Suan tells her that he has taken revenge for his father, but she does not believe this since she cannot accept that her father would deliberately kill anyone. A bunch of guards arrive at the room who are led by a man named K-suk, and they notice that Yona has discovered Suwan's identity. K-suk asks Suan to personally kill Yona and she makes a run for it. The guards start chasing after her and she manages to get to the courtyard when one of the guards makes her fall with his rope. The guards all surround her and one of them is about to strike her down when Hack appears and blows the guards away. He tells Yona that he will protect her and he then asks Suan why he is attacking her. He also asks him where the king is, so Suan declares that he has sent the king to hell. Hack lunges at him and Suan blocks his attack. He asks him how he could kill the kind-hearted king and Suan declares that the kingdom does not need any kindness. They both fight against one another and Hack manages to push him back due to his extraordinary skills. The guards discuss how Hack's nickname is the Thunder Beast due to his infamous skills, and he wounds Suan's shoulder with his attack. One of the guards holds Yona hostage and asks Hack to step down. The other guards surround him and just then someone shoots an arrow at them which distracts them. Hack makes a run for it with Yona in his arms and he meets up with Min-Su, the king's personal attendant who had shot the arrow. Hack takes care of some more guards and he escapes to a side with Min-Su and Yona. Min-Su asks her whether the king is really dead and he then proposes to Hack that they should make their escape together while he will make way for them. He wears her kimono and runs near the main gate, due to which the guards start to chase after him. Hack uses the opening to take Yona out of the gate after taking down some guards, and they make their escape while the guards keep chasing Min-Su. They finally shoot him down with arrows just when Hack and Yona reach the mountains outside the village. Yona starts to grow tired, so Hack makes a stop in the mountains and she tells him not to die or else she won't forgive him. The next morning, the guards fail to find the two of them because Hack has lived his life in the mountains and people in the castle begin to notice that something is wrong. Hack wakes Yona up and hugs her when she starts crying. He reminds her that she has to keep living no matter what. In the present, Yona's friends attack the army and start to kill them. One of the army men shoots an arrow at her, so one of her friends blocks his attack and Yona then shoots an arrow back at him. In the past, Hack refuses to attend meetings with the kings along with his grandpa Mundiak, and Mundiak scolds him in return, but Hack finds the whole business too boring. The king then asks Hack to become Yona's personal guard, but Hack refuses because he thinks it's too bothersome. Later he comes across Yona, who is running away from one of her suitors, and he makes fun of her. He already knows that she has feelings for Suan and he thinks that it's the reason why he refuses to accept the king's offer. Yona whines about the fact that Suan would never return her feelings, and she even comments that Suan would never speak rudely to her like Hack does. He asks her to make Suan protect her and then storms off in anger. Later he remains irritated and Yona gives him some fruits to make up for it. She tells him that she will deal with her own problems and then leaves after bribing him. He overhears some officials gossiping that the clans may gain enough power to overpower the king and that the king is too weak. He also sees the general's son misbehaving with Yona as he pesters her to show him around the villa, and the guards feel hesitant to handle him since he is the general's son. The general's son keeps harassing her, so Hack steps between them and pulls Yona towards him. He lies to the general's son that Yona has already pledged her heart to him since they were children and that he should leave her alone. Even Yona goes along with his lies and the son asks Hack to defeat him in battle, but just then the king himself stops him. He walks away while Hack officially accepts the responsibility to become Yona's personal guard. In the past, Yona tries to act all cheerful after her mother's death for the sake of her father, and Suan keeps trying to cheer her up. Even Hack joins the two of them and they all throw snowballs at each other. Later Yona ends up getting sick and the attendant tells her to rest. The boys give her company, due to which they end up getting sick too, and all of them get placed in the same room to avoid the sickness being spread. Hack's grandfather Mundiak arrives to check up on him and Hack tells the others that they are not blood relatives, rather he is adopted. Suwan's father Yuhan also comes to check up on him, and after he is gone Yona wonders whether the busy king will also check up on her. Nobody comes for her and she also refuses to eat any food because she is a spoiled brat. Hack assures her that the king must be working hard and that he respects him a lot, which makes her happy. Later they are all sleeping when Yona's stomach grumbles a lot and they all order chicken porridge for her, which is her favorite food. The porridge turns out to be disgusting and the king comes to reveal that he actually made it for her to make it up for her. She starts eating the porridge because he made it himself, and soon they all get better. Yona discusses with the boys that they should all stay together and remain friends forever. In the present, she wakes up crying and they spend their days walking through the mountain. Hack notices that Yona is growing weaker and weaker and she doesn't have any will. He also finds the hair ornament that Suan gifted to her and he keeps it to himself. The same night Yona begins to search for the ornament in the bushes because she thinks she has lost it, and she ends up stepping into a snake nest. Hack saves her and flees with her while the snakes rush after him. Later he gives her back the ornaments and he thinks that he wants her to love no matter, even if she wants to stay attached to the past. The next day, Yona suggests to Hack that they should head to a nearby village to get some food and medicine for his snakebite, but he thinks that they should stay away from any population. He reveals that they are heading to his hometown Fuga to get away from all the palace guards. Afterwards they arrive at Fuga, where Hack is pretty popular since he is the son of the general, and the villagers ask him about Yona's identity, so he lies to them that Yona is a court lady in training. She collapses on the ground, so Hack carries her inside and a guard tells him that his grandpa Mundiak has been called to an urgent meeting which had summoned all the 5 tribes leaders. At the Hiryu castle, all the fire tribes leaders are told about the king's death and they discuss the rumor which states that Hack has killed the king and fled with Yona as his hostage. Suan arrives and tells them that they need to keep the country stable so that the civil war does not break out and the other leaders accept him as their new king. Mundiak tells the others that only General Hak can take a decision for the Wind tribe and that Suan should become an official king after marrying Yona. Suan tells him to come to his coronation, which is to be held in 3 days, otherwise his tribe will be suspected of rebellion, and Mundiak just walks away after slightly roasting him. Later, General Kong, who is the leader of the Fire tribe, advises Suan to kill Yona and Hak as soon as possible, otherwise they will expose the truth about him, and he in return advises him to prepare for the Wind tribe's rebellion. Yona wakes up in changed clothes and a kid feeds her porridge, which makes her start crying. The kid turns out to be Hak's brother Taeyun, and Hak tells Yona that her fake name is Rina here. She gets along well with the people who are all lively and warm and who keep teasing Hak. Later, a village woman even tells her that she will teach her basic skills in no time, and she gives her loads of clothes to wash. Hak then takes her to the washing site beside the river, where they discover that the river has dried up. The villagers gather at the river and start to make a fuss, so Hak sends someone upstream to check why the river has dried up. Their informant returns to tell them that the Fire tribe has dammed the river and that they even beat him up when he argues with them. Just then Mundiak returns and meets with Yona. He realizes that Suan is behind the king's death, and they all discuss what they should do since the Fire tribe is cutting off their resources to pressurize them to accept Suan as the new king. The Fire tribe's general Sun Tae-jun orders his guys to attack the merchants who might be bringing water or any goods to the Wind tribe, even though the general gave no such order. Later, Taeyun collapses due to weak lungs, and the merchant who was supposed to deliver his medicine does not arrive. They all get to know that the merchants have been attacked by the bandits, and the villagers think they should attack the Fire tribe. One of the villagers heads to the eastern village to get medicine, while Hak tells the others that he will figure a way out to deal with the Fire tribe. Later, he drinks sake with Mundiak and requests him to let him leave the Wind tribe and to accept Suan as the new king. He also asks him to let Yona live in the Wind tribe all her life as a normal person. Later, he breaks into the weapons store to search for a short sword and a bow. He then gives some money to the store owner before heading out. The villager named Hande also returns from another village, and they all feel relieved to see that Taeyun is now alright. Yona then stumbles into the shed where all the injured merchants are being treated, and she feels upset to see their condition, but Hande assures her that everything will be alright. He tells her that everyone in the Wind tribe is family, which makes her a family member too, and she starts crying again. She decides to spare the Wind tribe from her fate, and the next morning she bids goodbye to Taeyun first. She thanks him for treating her so nicely and tells him to live long. Hak also heads out of the town and tells the guard that he cannot tell Yona that he is leaving her behind. Yona then runs up to him and orders him to escort her as she is leaving too. He tells her that he is no longer Mundiak's grandson nor her servant, so he won't take orders from her any longer. He then asks her to pay for his services, and when she says that she doesn't have any money, he announces that he won't go with her. He begins to leave, so Yona stops him and asks him to be hers. He gives up because he has the hots for the chick and agrees to take her with him. Later, they both bid goodbye to Mundiak, and he promises Yona that the Wind tribe is always with her no matter where she is. Taejun gets a report that Yona has been spotted with Hak and that they are heading to the desolate northern mountains, so he orders his men to search for them. Hak and Yona begin to search for a priest who can foresee the kingdom's future according to Mundiak. The priest used to live in the castle, but he was forced to leave by Yuhan, who was against all kinds of priests. Hak tells Yona that they will have to sleep outside, and he even pushes her against the rocks to tease her, but he then overhears groups of men coming after them. He teases her a little more and then finally gets ready to face his pursuers. They both come across Fire tribe's men who rush at them, and Hak takes them on. He easily deals with them and even taunts them that they cannot do anything to him. The general Sun Tae-jun also stops forward to deal with him, and Hak tells him that his actions don't relate to the Wind tribe since he has left the tribe. He grabs Yona and makes a run for it while the guards chase after them. Yona trips on the ground and one of the guards shoots an arrow at her, so Hak blocks her with his own body. He takes out the arrow and they both run away again. They hide themselves in a small opening, and Hak tells her to stop moving before running away. He faces the guards by himself, and Taejun's guard tells him that the arrow was poisoned, due to which Hak's movements start to slow down. Taejun orders him to shoot an arrow at Hak when his back is turned, and Yona thinks that Hak can defend himself. She recalls that she left Fuga to be independent, and she then rushes out of her hiding spot. She pushes the attacker away and comes across Taejun, who tries convincing her to come with him. She reminds him that he is her enemy because he attacked the Wind tribe, and she declares that she won't go back with him. Hak spots Yona with Taejun and tries to rush to her side by bulldozing his way through hordes of men. He manages to take a lot of them down, but the poison in his body starts to wear him down. The guards attack him just when he gets dizzy, and they corner him to the edge of a cliff. One of them slices his chest and they push him over the cliff, but he manages to grab the rocks before falling. Yona runs to his side, but Taejun stops her by grabbing her hair. She takes out his sword and cuts her, which sets her free. She then runs towards the soldiers and yells at them to stay away. Taejun tells his men not to hurt the princess, and she then tries to lift Hak up. Taejun and his men run to stop her, but just then the cliff's portion gives away and she and Hak both fall down into the valley. Taejun tries to grab her, but he fails and he tells his men to find her immediately, but they inform him that Yona couldn't have survived since the valley below is very deep. Taejun later goes to Hiryu Castle and personally reports to Suan about the whole incident with great grief. He asks Suan to punish him for killing Yona, but Suan just tells him to rest for his coronation day, which is upcoming the next day. Suan takes Yona's cut hair from him and he keeps thinking about all his memories with Yona. Meanwhile, a strange man walks through the forest and he comes across Hak and Yona's bodies. The next morning, Suan takes an early bath on his coronation day and his assistant K-Suk informs him that Mun Deok has arrived with the new general of the Wind Tribe. He watches the sunrise, which reminds him of Yona's hair, and later he heads to the castle of the Red Dragon. He recalls his memories with Hak and Yona at the same castle, in which Hak would tease him about being weaker than him and he would ask him to become his guard instead. Hak then told him to marry Yona to become the next king so that he can become both their guard, and Suan thought at that moment that his words sound like a dream. In the present, he enters the castle for his coronation and tells himself that he could only become the king by throwing Hak and Yona away from his life. He gets crowned the next king and he thinks that he needs to unite all the 5 tribes first before facing the foreign enemy. Mun Deok cautions him that he is keeping an eye on him, and Suan declares to his people that he will make the country stronger than ever before. Yona wakes up in a strange place where a boy named Yoon is treating her wounds, and she sees that Hak is in an even worse state than her with broken ribs and lots of wounds. Yoon reveals that the trees must have cushioned their fall and that Hak also protected her by enclosing her in his arms. Another man named Iksu arrives and welcomes her. He seems to know her identity already, and Yona realizes that he must be the mountain priest that they were looking for. Iksu tells her that he already knew that she would be coming for him and that God tells him everything, so Yoon reminds him that he was kicked out of the castle after he said he could hear God's voice. Yona doesn't know anything about any of this, so Yoon taunts her about not knowing anything even though she lived in the castle. Hak's fever gets worse and Yoon reveals that the night will be the worst for him. Yona requests him to save him and he tells her that she never thanked him or even Hak for helping her out. She then goes on a walk with Iksu, who reveals that he ended up in the mountains because he was going with the flow, and later Yona thanks Yoon for saving her life. She asks him to tell her everything about the priest since she doesn't want to remain ignorant, and he explains to her that priests used to have even more powers than the kings back in the day because they could hear the voice of gods. Back in Yuhan's era, he kicked out all the priests, and after that, Iksu started living with him. He comments that Iksu cannot live without him and she thanks him for the information. Later, she wakes up to find that Hak is missing and she starts searching for him in the forest. She even cries out at one point, after which Hak appears and starts teasing her. She tells him in tears that she won't ever forgive him if he leaves, while Hak thinks she is hitting on him. He also feels regret when he sees her short hair, but she reminds him that she never liked her hair anyway, and he keeps thinking that she is still holding on to Suwon's hair ornament. The next day, Hak messes around with Yoon while Yona goes to meet Iksu, who reveals to her that he has been dreaming about her. She tells him that she only wants to save her and Hak's life, and he conveys God's voice to her, which states that the 4 dragons will gather, after which the Red Dragon will return to the kingdom once again. Yona thinks about the old myth which states that once upon a time a red dragon took the human form and descended on Earth. His name was Hiryu and he became the first king of Kingdom Kuka, but soon humans captured him and tried to kill him. Then the 4 dragons descended from heaven and tried to take him with them, but he wanted to stay with the humans, so the 4 dragons each gave some of their powers to 4 humans. The dragons ordered the humans to serve Hiryu and they kept protecting him till he died. After his death, they wandered off and their leftover people formed the 5 tribes. Iksu tells Yona to find the 4 dragons who will help her in her journey, and he manages to convince her by saying that Hak will die at this rate, so she needs extra help for now. She decides to find the 4 dragons even though she knows that they may not be her ally. Later she keeps wondering about everything and Hak assures her that he won't die. She asks him to teach her how to fight and that she wants to move forward in her life somehow. Hak agrees with her and starts teasing her endlessly because that's his only job. Iksu requests the 2 of them to take Yoon with them on their journey. The next day, Yoon gives Yona new clothes to wear which he made himself, and he also cuts her hair for her. She notices that he is really kind and he mentions that he can memorize any book that he reads once. He wants to read even more books, but he seems content with his lie with Iksu and he keeps mentioning that Iksu cannot live without him. Yona is unable to ask him anything, and afterwards she tells Iksu that she cannot tear his family apart by asking Yoon to come with them. Iksu realizes that he needs to talk to Yoon himself and Yoon ends up overhearing their conversation. He confronts Iksu, so Iksu tells him to accompany Yona on her journey and to see the world on his own. Later Yoon keeps thinking about his request and he comes across who is fishing in a stream. He asks Hak why he would risk his life to protect a bratty princess, and Hak shares his 2 cents of wisdom about protecting a loved one. 7 years ago, Yoon used to live a desolate life in one of the Fire Tribe villages in which he was starving and nobody had anything to eat. He decided to steal to feed himself and he came across Iksu, who was wandering in the village. He threw a stone at his head which made him fall and then tried searching for food or money on him, but he didn't have anything on him. Iksu apologized to him for being so broke and Yoon let him stay in his house because he was the one who had injured him. He even treated his wound, and the next day Iksu gave him a potato to eat which he had gotten by trading his shoes. Yoon told him that he wanted to see the whole world and learn all kinds of things, so Iksu taught him how to make sandals with straw. After some days Iksu ended up leaving to travel some more and Yoon didn't ask him to stay because he didn't want to be a nuisance. He started selling sandals made out of straw to feed himself, and one day Iksu returned with wounds all over his body. He told him that he had collected a lot of things and his books as well, but the people ended up stealing all of his belongings. Yoon then asks to come along with him and they both become partners. In the present, Iksu brings new sandals for Yoon that he made for him, and Yoon notices that even his own sandals are pretty worn out, so he makes a pair for him too. He mentions to Iksu that Yona needs to know about the real world now at this point and that he will accept Iksu's request. Iksu then starts to cry because he will miss him a lot, and both of them share bitter tears. Later Yoon packs everything up and he bids goodbye to Iksu, after which they all head off for their journey. K-sun reports to Suan that there was an illegal account which was used to divert the tax money and that he has already dismissed the person in charge. Suan comments that the previous king's kindness made people greedy and then reads a book on the 4 dragons which he liked reading in his childhood as well. Yoon trades some rice with his self-made medicine and Hak tells the trader that he is also a merchant. After they are done with their trading, Yona whines about the fact that Hak had to carry her in a bag to hide her, and Yoon reminds them that they are near the Fire Tribe territory, so they need to be cautious. Iksu had told them that he does not know the location of all the 4 dragons, but one of them is bound to live in the village near the border. The village doesn't accept any outsiders and Yoon feels excited to travel to such a faraway place which is beyond the Fire Tribe. They arrive at the nearest village to stock up on the supplies to travel through the mountains, and Hak leaves to get some weapons. He tells the others to meet him at the big tree outside the village in case they have to make a run for it due to some reason. He then shops for weapons and the shopkeeper suggests him to buy a defense weapon for Yona, but he thinks that it's his job to protect her, so she doesn't need any weapons. Yona overhears some people talking about Suwon's convocation, so she runs out suspiciously and Yoon accompanies her. They both spot a few Fire Tribe soldiers, so they hide in the alleyway and Hak meets up with them there. They all head outside the village where Yona apologizes to them for causing them so much worry. Their journey officially begins, in which they walk through the mountain and hide away whenever they see any soldiers on the way. A lot of days pass by and one day Yona requests Hak to teach her swordsmanship since she is sick of being so useless. He doesn't accept her request and she convinces him by saying that she wants to create an opportunity for escape if they are ever attacked, and she wants to be able to defend herself. Hak agrees and gives her a bow and some arrows as her first weapon. They continue their journey and Yona gets allowed to shoot at the birds or rabbits to train her archery skills. She fails to hit anything and Hak shows her how to aim and hit the birds. They continue their journey and Yona keeps practicing her archery even when it's late at night. Soon they reach near their destination village and Yona tries to kill an animal, but she hesitates, due to which the animal only gets a little injured and it runs away. Hak asks Yoon to go ahead and he takes her to a side where he asks her to show her improved skills. She hits a tree and he then asks her to hit him. She tries hitting him, but he keeps moving quickly and he reminds her that she will have to hit moving targets on an actual battlefield. He points out that she lacks a killing intent and he then tells her to imagine that he is Suan. She manages to scratch him with her arrow and she declares that she wants to protect him as well. They both then try finding Yoon and they stumble into a mist where some people yell at them to leave their land. Hak clears the mist with a huge swing of his sword and the people around them notice that Yona has red hair, which shocks them. They reveal that they are the protectors of the White Dragon and then decide to take her with them. Meanwhile, in the White Dragon's village, Yoon is kept as a prisoner and he sees that Yona is touring the village casually with an elder. They spot Yoon and the elder orders Yoon to be released. Later the elder tells the group that their clan has been protecting the White Dragon's blood since ages, due to which they don't let many outsiders inside the village. Yeon gets surrounded by all the villagers who call her hair beautiful, and the elder reveals that the red hair is really precious to them because the White Dragon's first master had red hair. The elder believes that Yona may be destined to meet the dragon and that even though they are all the white dragon descendants, only one of them has the dragon's power in his right hand. Meanwhile, the white dragon named Kija finds that his hand is throbbing a lot and the others around him fuss over him, but he assures them that he is alright. They all discuss that it's the white dragon's fate to wait for his master to arrive and that he may not even get to fulfill his purpose in this era, but he needs to make sure to preserve the power to pass it down to the next generation. The elder lady reminds him that he is at the age to marry, and they hear a lot of commotion outside, so the elder reveals that some interesting outsiders have arrived. He is so useless all the time that he decides to deal with the outsiders himself and he storms outside. Meanwhile, Yona thinks about how she has to tear apart the white dragon from his village for her journey, and he tells Hack to train her even more in case the white dragon fails to come with them. Kija walks up to them, and when he sees Yona's red hair, his hand starts to throb violently. He overhears an ancient voice telling him to serve the King Hiryu's descendant, and he collapses on the ground. Later he wakes up and bows in front of Yona as he calls her his master. All the villagers do the same and they feel relieved to see that their king has arrived at last. Yona tells him openly that she is just a runaway princess who wants to get back her kingdom, and he tells her that he doesn't care who she is or what her goal is since he will always be her dragon. Kija decides to leave immediately with them, but the elders decide to throw a banquet first in Yona's honor. Later, Kija's right hand still feels very hot and he thinks about how he will finally fulfill his purpose. Hack comes to his room to look for anything that they can take on their journey, and he offers Hack a bag full of gold coins in exchange for a condition that he should leave Yona. They both go to Yona, where Kija argues that only the 4 dragons can protect Yona, so Hack should leave, and Yona declares that she cannot live without Hack since he is her childhood friend. After crushing Hack's desperate virgin dreams, she tells Kija that she needs him as well, and they both agree to join her even though they keep arguing with one another. Afterwards, all of them enjoy the village banquet, and the next morning the whole village bids farewell to Kija. He tells them that the next dragon will appear among them even if he dies, and they feel even more upset to hear this. His granny whines about his departure, and even he feels sad to let her go because he has spent the most time with her. She prays for his safe return and they all leave the village. On the way, they wonder where they should go next, and Kija reveals that he can sense the presence of other dragons due to their ancient connection. Kija and Hack keep arguing with one another and Yona scolds them. She reminds them that they have to get along because they have a long journey ahead, and she tells Kija that Hack likes teasing people in general, so he should just ignore him. Later, Kija uses his power to figure out that the blue dragon is the nearest and even points out a direction where he can feel the blue dragon's powers coming from. He then starts to lead the way even though the others know he has lived a spoiled, pampered life. He ends up falling into a ditch which is crawling with insects. He cries out like a baby, and when Hack makes fun of him, he makes excuses about being so weak. Suddenly he and Hack feel a group of people coming towards them, so they tell Yona to hide even though Yona wants to use her arrow for practice. Yun and Yona hide in the bushes while a group of bandits surround the two of them. They try to steal things from them, so Kija decides to finally unleash his powers which he has been keeping hidden all this time. One of the bandits burns his hand when he touches Kija's claw, and Kija's right hand transforms into a huge claw. He then rushes through the bandits and mercilessly attacks them. He even asks Hack whether he needs his protection, and Hack in return shows his large sword to him. He also rushes through the bandits and takes them down one by one. They both team up to take down the rest of the bandits, and Yona feels like she should help too. Yun guides her on how to use her bow, and she manages to hit one guy who was aiming to hit Hack from a distance. One of the bandits captures her, but both boys take him down and save her in an instant. Kija's arm starts to burn because he pushed himself too hard, and Hack also collapses on the ground because his wound opened up. They decide to camp somewhere because it's getting late, and Kija carries Hack easily on his shoulder because of the dragon's strength. He assures Yona that Hack will be alright, and he even notices that she didn't seem scared of the bandits. They camp somewhere where Kija whines about eating mountain weeds for dinner, and Yona tells him to be thankful that they are eating Yun's cooking rather than Hack's cooking. Hack wakes up just then and seems offended to hear this, so Yona feeds him some food to cheer him up. Kija reveals that the blue dragon used to live with a clan in the Earth tribe, but one day he disappeared and his clan went missing as well. They all decide to search in the nearest village as well, which is in the fire tribe, and when they get there, Kija reveals that the blue dragon isn't there. Yun and Hack narrow down 3 more spots where the dragon could be in the nearby areas, and they all visit the places one by one but find no trace of the dragon there. Kija feels the presence of the dragon at a great distance, and the others continue to sleep outside while he feels weird about sleeping out so openly. He thinks about how he wants to be useful to Yona, and he tries calling out the blue dragon, but he gets no response back. Later, he wakes up late at night and finds Yona practicing on her own. Hack tells her that she shoots 200 arrows daily because she hates being so pathetic and useless, and he decides to become useful to her somehow. The next day Yun tells the others that he has found another spot on the map which can potentially be the Blue Dragon's village. The group arrives at the nearby mountains where engraved caves are located in the mountains and they head inside. A group of people come out to surround them and Kija yells at them to bring out the Blue Dragon. The villagers tell him that the Blue Dragon doesn't live with them and Kija insists that the dragon is just an ordinary person who would have the dragon's blood, but the villagers insist that they are just a group of normie people who live a quiet life without any dragon. Yona tells them that they need a place to stay for the night, so they agree to her request and they inform her that the unmarried villagers have to wear masks on their face as a part of their tradition. He cautions the group not to wander around because the area is like a maze and they may get lost. When he leaves, the group immediately decides to search for the Blue Dragon in the maze and Yun thinks that he will make a map of the maze to conquer it. Yona thinks that maybe the Blue Dragon doesn't want to be found and Kija tells her not to give up on his search. They feel a strange presence near them, so they decide to head back to their room and Yona ends up wandering into a part of the maze which was hidden previously. She chases after a squirrel and after a moment she realizes that the others are not following her. The torches get shut off and a strange man offers to show her the way to her friends. He starts to lead her deeper into the woods and she realizes that something is sus, so she starts to struggle against him. A mysterious masked man appears and scares the villager off. He leads her through the maze and she doesn't feel afraid of him for some reason. He leads her to her group and Kija realizes that he is the Blue Dragon, but before they can say anything to him, he runs away. 18 years ago the Blue Dragon Shina was born in the village, but his mother killed herself and the previous dragon was tasked to take care of him. All the kids avoided him like a plague and the previous dragon named Ao scolded him whenever he would wander outside. He told him that the blue dragons have cursed eyes which paralyze the hearts and nerves of any person who looks at them. Shina can also see many yards away with his eyes while Ao continues to grow blind each day and he notices that there are some bandits who are planning to attack the village. He tells Ao who heads to take care of the attackers and afterwards Ao tells him never to use the power of his eyes. He teaches him how to control the power of his eyes and even swordsmanship, but he himself grows weaker and weaker. One time Ao fights with some attackers and Shina saves him when one of the attackers is about to take him down. Ao then falls down on his knees and declares that he has finally grown fully blind. He yaps about how he has finally become human and how he can die peacefully now. Time passes by and Shina starts leading Ao everywhere since he cannot see anything. He wears bells on his mask to help out Ao and one day Ao falls down. He apologizes to Shina for leaving him alone before finally passing away. The villagers gossip about how the curse has been fully passed down to Shina now and one day he sees an army of people heading to his village to attack them. He decides to face them all by himself and sometime later the villagers find that Shina has used the power of his eyes to take all of them down. In the present, Shina wonders why he heard an ancient power telling him to serve the king Hiryu when he touched Yona and why his eyes are throbbing so much. He even recalls the white dragon's face and he wonders how he knows he is the white dragon. Yona tells her gang about the incident that took place and they all discuss that the dragon powers seem like an abomination here compared to the white dragon's village, which was the polar opposite. Yona decides to go back into the maze to look for Shina and Hak tells her to stay back while he and Yun will search for him instead. She orders him to stay back instead since someone has to warn them about the villagers and that the rest of them will head to the maze to search for the dragon, so Hak has no choice but to listen to her. He tells Kija to take care of her and the rest of them head out while Hak notices that the villagers are keeping an eye on them. Yona takes the boys to a secret passage and Kija notices that some villagers are approaching them, so he decides to stay outside while Yun and Yona head inside. The villagers show up and tell him that they cannot allow him to leave the palace, so he decides to teach them a lesson about nobility and the dragons. Yona and Yun head deep inside the cave and they finally come across Shina, who feels a throb in his blood at seeing Yona. She meets with his squirrel friend who is named Ao and he feels very threatened by her presence. He demands to know why they have entered his village and she tells him that she wants him to lend his power to her. Shina feels a strong desire to listen to her, but he recalls that his actual powers are too dangerous. He lunges at Yona and asks her whether she is his enemy, but his hand starts to tremble and he even feels like she can never be his enemy. She tells him that she wants the powers of the 4 dragons to protect her friends and she asks him to become her friend, so he reveals that he is actually cursed. He explains that his powers can never be revealed to the outside world and he then tells her to leave, so she turns around to leave him. She tells him that his hand was really warm and that she doesn't mind even if he bears a curse. She then leaves while Shina feels like his heart is being ripped apart as he couldn't get the chick. Yona wonders whether Shina is even eating and living properly since there was nothing around him in the cave, and they both come outside to meet the hordes of villagers. The villagers declare that they cannot let them live since they have seen the blue dragon, and the group demands to know why they call the blue dragon a cursed creature. Just then an earthquake shakes everything up and Hack rushes outside to get to Yona's side. The earthquake finishes only to reveal that Hack has been sealed inside the cave and he starts having a mental breakdown like a hormonal teenager because he couldn't protect Yona. Yona also wakes up to find that she has been trapped inside the cave with some villagers and Yun starts panicking because he believes that they will run out of oxygen soon. Kija decides to dig out of the cave and the villagers call him cursed when they see his claw. They explain how the blue dragon is shunned and hidden whenever he is born in their village and how Shina has actually killed an army when he was just a kid. Just then Shina walks towards them and one of the villagers mistakenly slaps his mask away. The villagers start to panic thinking that Shina's eyes will turn them into stone and that he has come out to kill them, so Shina simply closes his eyes and puts on his mask. He then walks towards one side and starts to dig, so Kija points out to him that the exit is on the other side. Shina reveals that his side opens up to outside and Kija also decides to help him out. Yona takes a dagger from a villager to help them out and Kija starts protesting, but she tells him that she needs to stop being such a pathetic useless princess. They all try to dig their way out and on the other side, Hack tries to do the same. He threatens the villagers to tell him how he can save his friends, but they seem hesitant. Yona becomes dizzy due to lack of air and Shina takes her to his room where she starts to cry since she finds him really kind. She thinks that he has lived a very miserable life and she tells him how she was sheltered for 15 years of her life, after which everything was taken away from her. She tells him that she wants to still live and she wants to take him to a place where he can live however he wants as well. They both head back and continue to dig outside. Just then Hack manages to break inside from the same direction and he hugs Yona. Later everyone heads outside and Yona declares that she cannot give up on the blue dragon. She offers him to travel with her one more time and she says that he doesn't have to close his eyes all the time. He reluctantly accepts her offer as he wonders whether he can really live a life outside. They all resume their travel journey and Shina drops his bells, but he doesn't pick them this time. Kija tries to detect the other dragon's presence but he faints out of exhaustion. They expect that Shina should have the same detecting powers, but Shina doesn't understand what they are talking about. Kija becomes too emotional and offers to teach him everything about the other dragons like an older brother, so Shina gets creeped by him and runs away. He finds a water stream nearby and jumps into it, which makes Hack comment that he must be trying to drown himself. Shina then comes out of the stream with fish in his hand and Yun concludes that his extra sharp vision must allow him to see across long distances. Yun cooks food for everyone while they all wait for Shina's clothes to dry and Shina eats the food, which he finds very delicious. Yona offers him her coat and he thanks her by calling her name, which shocks the other guys because even they are not that friendly with her. He tells them to call him whatever they want since he was never given a proper name, and Yona discusses with Yun what they should call him. Yun takes the chance to apologize to her about being so harsh when they met for the first time, and he even asks her whether he can call her by her first name as well. Yona then heads to the nearby stream where she calls out Hack, who keeps following her everywhere. She tells him that she doesn't mind if everyone else calls her Yona, but she wants him to keep calling her the princess like a trained lapdog. She explains that she always wants him to remember her as the king's daughter, and he reveals that he can never forget that she is the king's daughter. They both come across Shina, who is bathing in the moonlight, and Yona thinks that the blue dragon showed her the light in the darkness, so his name should be Shina, which means moonlight. The next morning Kija wakes up to reveal that he can sense the green dragon's presence nearby. They all discuss the area where the green dragon could be, and it turns out that the area is near to the main capital and a city named Saika. They decide to follow the mountain first to avoid any soldiers, and Shina helps them out by spotting any people from a long distance. Kija then tells him everything about the history of dragons, and they stumble into a village which seems deserted by the kingdom. Yun explains that infertile villages are usually abandoned and that the young people are taken away as soldiers while the rest of the people are left to die with sickness and poverty. He gives medicine to one of the villagers and Yona helps him drink water. The villager mentions how the previous king was a terrible ruler who divided all the tribes and abandoned weak people like them. He wishes that the new king is a kind ruler, and the group then heads on its way. Yona walks away to use the washroom because she feels like crying, and the boys discuss how the late king was her only relative even if he was a cowardly king. Hack points out that he would never have served a foolish king and that the king wasn't foolish, rather he wanted a world without war. He regrets not being able to save him, and Yona overhears all of this as she cries out a river. Later everyone heads to sleep while she gets up to practice her archery because she wants to become stronger. The next day, Suan arrives with his men at the Earth Tribe's capital called Chishin, and meanwhile the general of Earth Tribe called Gunte lounges around lazily. His assistant named Chiol tries convincing him to dress nicely, and Gunte recalls how things were lively and exciting in the reign before the previous king. Suddenly they hear that Suan has arrived, so they present themselves before him, and Gunte thinks that he likes Suan only because he is his mentor Yuhan's son. They all drink tea with the Sky General Judo, and Gente reveals that the tea is from his wife's tea plantation. He and Judo get into an argument and Suan thanks him for the tea. Gunte starts to think that Suan is similar to the previous king because of his kind manners and docile smile. They show him the castle and an elder comes to report to Gunte that a nearby mine has collapsed which injured 10 youngsters. After he is done dealing with him, Gunte asks Suan about his thoughts on the previous king, and he even mentions that he disliked the previous king's policies so much that he could have risen against him. Suan simply says that he means to change the kingdom and he doesn't explain himself, which makes Gunte think that he is nothing like his father Yuhan and that the country is doomed once again. They all come across a shrine where there is a stone from the Udo mine and Gunte explains to him how they have a tradition of enshrining stones. He then leaves Suan alone with an excuse that he has some work to do, and Cheol explains to Suan that Gunte is simply bored out of his mind because there is no conflict or war going on. He tells him how Gunte was a war general a long time ago and how everyone reveres him due to his strength, so Suan decides to do something about him. He later tells Gunte that they are going to hold a war festival in Chishin where mock battles will be done with fake swords, and Gunte is completely against the idea, but Suan assures him that the festival is a good idea. 1 week later the festival day arrives, in which Gunte complains about the fancy clothes he has to wear, and his wife Yuno tells him that she especially prepared clothes for him. The people father at the stadium with excitement even though Gunte thinks that the kingdom is going through a dark, uncertain time. Suan explains the rules to men, that the men will be split in 2 armies in which both he and Gunte will be the kings of each army, and all men will be divided into kings, nobles, and commoners. He explains they have to break the opposite army's plates and the party that breaks the most plates will win. He then goes through the rules that commoners cannot hit nobles and kings cannot hit the commoners, and Gunte thinks that Suan most probably cannot even play. He recalls how Hak was a prodigy even though he and Suan were such friends, and the Sky General Judo tells him that he and his army are blind. The match begins with Cheol announcing the both armies, and the people become surprised to learn that the actual king is also playing. Suan steps forward with his army, so Gunte also steps forward to meet his challenge, but suddenly Suan runs away. His army men step forward next and they tell Gunte that they want to become prisoners because they don't really want to play for Suan, so Gunte tells them that he doesn't want cowards like them. They become even more motivated by them, so they start to fight against him, and one of the nobles takes out all 5 of them. One of Suwan's men takes out the noble and Gunte proceeds to take out the opposite noble men. He faces Judo next and he attacks him, so Judo blocks his attack. Judo cannot hit him back because a noble can't take down a king, and Gunte notices that a lot of commoners are chasing after Suan, but in an instant they run into each other as Suan trips himself. They end up breaking each other's plates, due to which Suan gets the points and Suan then runs into the red army area. Gunte runs after him and Suan throws a wooden sword right at him, which he pretends that he mistakenly sent it. Gunte starts to realize that Suan may be pretending to act so innocent after all, and Suan then frees a number of his army prisoners. Up next, a strong wind blows that surrounds everyone and Guente's army members get taken down one by one. 2 men attack Gunte as well, and they tell him that Suan is directing their moves and motivating them to attack him. Gunte attacks Suan directly next and he stops all of his blows while the rest of his army men get taken down. Only Gunte manages to survive in his army, and Suan offers to play the match again because he doesn't want him to lose face in front of his people. He declares that he is not a coward and he lunges at Suan to attack him. They both fight against one another and Suan easily blocks all his attacks even though he previously thought that Suan was just a spoiled loser. Suan then trips on his clothes, due to which Gunte breaks his plates, and later Suwan's people break his plate as well. Suwan's army wins the match and everyone celebrates the festival all night. Later, Gunte wonders why Suan even came to Chishin, and his wife Yuno tells him that a neighboring country wants to import her plantation tea leaves. The mine owner also tells him that the stones from his mine are being sold in excess quantity because Gunte wore them during the festival. It turns out that Suwan's plan was to market these 2 things all along, which will boost the Earth Tribe, and Suan leaves the Earth Tribe finally, while Gunte thinks that he may be even clever than his father. Yona and her boys walk for a number of days and finally arrive at the Earth Tribe's Awa port. Kija comments that the green dragon is moving around at a very fast speed, and Yun concludes that they should all rest since they have been on their journey for a long time. Hak decides to go to the town alone because the others will gain attention, and Yona insists that she wants to go with him. He points out that she has bags under eyes and she seems exhausted, so she needs to rest first. He heads to the town by himself and tries to secure the goods. He also notices that the townspeople seem lifeless, and he then comes across some officials harassing a lady. He then kicks down the officials along with a guy who appears out of nowhere. The stranger named Jeha, and he makes a run for it with the lady, and Jeha tells him to escort the lady home. He then rushes away from them to go to a port ship where the captain Gigan greets him and he tells the captain that the blue and white dragon have arrived in the town. Hak returns to the group without buying anything and the next day they all head to the town together. Hak takes a detour from them because he doesn't want to put Yona in danger since the officials have seen his face. The group arrives at a cliff and they see a pirate ship there where Kija detects the presence of the green dragon but suddenly the presence disappears. Hak comes across Jeha in the town and Jeha drags him into a brothel with the excuse that some people are coming after him. Jeha also tells him that the Awa Port's Lord Kumji is a very powerful man who runs some shady business without the kingdom's knowledge and he seems sensitive about the topic of freedom. Just then Yona and Yun spot him in the brothel and Jeha disappears suddenly. They tell Hak that the green dragon is nearby and meanwhile Jeha rushes away from the scene. He thinks about how he will never serve King Hiryu and that he wants to escape his destiny. Hak comes across the lady that he had saved the previous day and later she tells him that the officials thrash everyone and take women away but they have Kumji's support due to which no one can do anything against them. Yun asks her about the pirate and she reveals that the pirates actually only attack Kumji's ships. Later at night, an official ship is about to deliver some goods which contain a smuggled drug from the Kai Empire and Jeha sneaks into the ship. The pirate ship also docks near the ship and the pirates attack the officials. Jeha jumps from one post to another and attacks from the above as pirates take care of the official below. They burn down the whole ship and release the officials into the sea in a small boat. Captain Gigan tells her men that she doesn't want them to murder anyone and Gigan's dragon leg starts to throb. He recalls how he left his village 13 years ago and made a long journey after which he joined Gigan. They all discuss how they need stronger men to attack Kumji and Jeha decides to persuade Hak to join his group to fight against Kumji. Yona and the boys search for the green dragon the next day again and they come across some officials going on a rampage inside a store. They all want to intervene but Yun reminds them that they cannot afford to draw attention to themselves. Hak notices a bounty poster of himself so he separates himself from the group and he comes across Jeha whose bounty poster is also on the wall. They both burn down their posters because they are too ugly and Jeha then declares that he wants him. He asks him to come with him but Hak gets the idea that he has the hots for him and he even punches him. He then runs away from him and instead runs into Yona. Jeha doesn't follow him and Kija tells him that they detected the green dragon nearby. They go on their way and Jeha watches all of them from a distance. He decides to keep pursuing Hak no matter what and he ends up tripping on the ground. He falls down and comes face to face with the white dragon Kija. Yona's group hears some people crying inside one of the houses and Yona rushes inside to discover that everything has been wrecked by the officials. The man tells her that the official struck down his kid and he is not getting up. Yun then senses his pulse and realizes that the kid has passed away which makes Yona even more upset. She asks Hak how they can help the town and she comments that she cannot keep saying that she is so powerless. Jeha tells Kija that he ran away from the dragon village to pursue freedom and Kija starts to run off with him without even listening to him. He tells Kija that he doesn't want to follow any master and that he wants to keep living his current life so Kija tries telling him that they have a duty to protect their master. He runs away from him and spots Hak on the way so he approaches him and tries convincing him to join the pirates. Hak refuses and he offers that his master can join as well. Just then Yona spots him and he overhears an ancient voice telling him to serve and love Hiryu. His blood starts to boil and he falls down on his knee as he realizes that Yona is actually his master. She also senses that he is the green dragon and she asks him to lend his strength to her. The others arrive as well and he clearly tells her that he has no intention to serve her or accompany her. Yona accepts his rejection and decides to withdraw even though she finds it hard to leave him behind. He then tries to recruit Hak once again and Yona agrees to let Hak go to the pirates if she can come with him. They all decide to meet the next day and later Hak comments to her that she wasn't so understanding when he tried leaving her. She tells him that he is different and he keeps teasing her. The next day the group meets up with the pirates and Gigan asks them to prove their strength to him. Hak and the two dragons take on all of Gigan's men and take them down so Gigan decides to let them stay. Yun is a capable man who can do anything so she decides to let him stay as well but she thinks that Yona is just a spoiled brat who cannot do anything. Yona declares that she has her own reasons for not backing down and Gigan decides to test her out. She tells her to pick an herb called senjuso which can quickly heal injuries and explains that senjuso grows on a very sheer cliff. Yona agrees to go and Jeha leads her to the Cape Shroud Mist where the herb grows. He shows her the narrow path which leads to a small cave where senjuso grows and they both head towards the narrow path. Yona starts walking down the path and a wind almost blows her off. She sees that she is at tall height and she can die if she falls down which paralyzes her with fear. Jaha recalls how his predecessors would tell him that loyalty to King Hiryu was etched into their blood and that he always thought that Hiryu would be a brutal man who would order the dragons around, but he cannot believe that it's actually a frail girl without any strength. Yona continues to tremble and cry, but she keeps slowly moving ahead and Jaha tries to convince her to head back since the task is too much for her. She tells him that she would not hesitate to bring any herb for her friends if they were injured so she can move now as well, and he notices that her legs are still shaking. He follows her half the way, after which she moves on ahead by herself and she slowly treads the way till she comes across the small cave which contains senjutsu. She plucks out the herb and meanwhile Gigan notices that the water level is dropping, which means that a storm is coming soon. Yona begins to head back, but a strong wave hits her and she almost falls down. She manages to hang from the tree branch and Jaha has to help her climb up. She thanks him and he tells her not to tell Gigan that he helped her out. The others arrive at the sheer cliff because of the weather and Kija thinks that should go help Yona out, but Giga reminds them that it was Yona's decision to earn her trust. Yona and Jaha appear with the herb and Yona tells Gigan that Jaha helped her out when she was about to fall into the sea. She offers to get the herb one more time and Gigan accepts her into her crew because she believes that Yona would never betray anyone. The other pirates surround her and Kija tries to get them away from her while Jaha tells Hack that he has never met anyone like Yona. He inquires about his relation with Yona, so Hack reveals that Yona was left in his care by someone. He teases Hack that he must not want her personally and he tells him that he is interested in her, which makes him mad. Later Hack keeps having an existential crisis as he thinks about his relation with Yona and he sees that her hands are full of scratches, so he starts to treat them with honey. He teases her as well and he drops too much honey on her hand, so he starts to lick it. The situation becomes too awkward, so she runs away and he tells himself that Yona wants to survive at this point, so he should control himself. Later Gigan tells her that she is going to disband the pirates group after fighting with Kumji and she asks her to take Jaha with her. Jaha overhears their conversation and declares that he will do what he wants rather than travel with the other dragons. Shina then sees 7 ships gathering to attack them at the harbor and Gigan tells her group to prepare for the fight against Kumji's ships. She then tells Yona that Kumji's most important deal is coming up, which involves human trafficking. She explains that Kumji means to sell women and people to the Kai Empire and that they need to somehow attack them in the waters before the trade-off occurs because they don't want to involve other people in the crossfire if they attack at the harbor. The group begins to prepare for the attack and Hack trains some of the guys while Yun gives them support in their other admin-related tasks. Yona doesn't know what to do, so Jaha asks her to accompany him to the town. He carries her and jumps in the sky. He explains that the dragon's powers allow him to jump very high and they reach the town where they spot Kumji in the streets. The townspeople hide themselves inside as Kumji passes by and Yona notices a scared-looking person in an alley. They approach him and ask him whether anything is wrong. Turns out that the guy is actually a girl in disguise and the girl tells them that she and her friend went to a shop to look for a job, but her friend was called inside and she was told to leave. She then saw her friend being taken away and after that she started hiding herself from the officials. Jaha believes that her friend must have been taken to a human trafficking detention facility and he assures her that her friend will return soon. They return to the ship where Jaha informs everyone that Kumji's deal will probably take place in 2 days. They discuss how they can find the ship with the kidnapped women and Yona volunteers to sneak inside the ship. She explains that she will sneak inside and light some fireworks which Shina can see due to his extraordinary vision and that the pirates can then rescue her ship. The others are completely against her idea, but Gigan accepts it and she thinks that another person should accompany Yona to make the mission successful. Hack and Kija offer to accompany her, but she points out Yun instead, who can pass as a woman in disguise, and Yun agrees to go with her. Later Yona thanks her for accepting her request and she tells Yona that she is like a daughter to her, so she doesn't want her to die as well. Afterwards Hack corners Yona and asks her how he can convince her not to infiltrate Kumji's ship. She tells him that it's her responsibility as the previous king's daughter to take care of the people and that she has always lived a sheltered life, but she wants to do something for the people now. She walks away and Hack realizes that Yona is changing a lot. The next day she and Yun get all ready for the infiltration and Hack notices that Yun's hand is shaking. Yun assures him that he still wants to help them out and that he will make sure Yona doesn't die. Afterwards he and Yona go to Kumji's shop to search for a job and they both get trapped there by his men. The ground beneath them opens and they fall down. After a while, Yona realizes that they are being transported somewhere. Meanwhile, Kumji gets a report that the trafficking operation is in full swing and that they have even captured 2 more women at the last second. Yona and Yun get thrown at a room which is filled with women and Yona sprains her ankle because she likes being the most useless thing in the room. Kumji arrives and comments that they all look fantastic, but he finds Yona's red hair even more fantastic. He He thinks that he wants to keep at least one girl for herself, and Yun declares that he can serve him better, so he should choose him. Kumji kicks him away from him and tells everyone that he doesn't like being interrupted when he is having fun. His guard advises him to be cautious with the women, and he kicks him down too. He notices Yona glaring at him, so he throws her down and comments that Yona's red hair reminds him of Princess Yona. She bows herself in front of him and tells him that is just a merchant's daughter who wants to find work. He thinks that the Princess Yona cannot be such a wench, so he leaves her and goes out. The girls start to panic as they realize that they will be sold off, and Yona asks them whether they have ever thought about fighting back. She tells them to work hard for their survival in case somebody comes to rescue them. On the other side, Hak continues to remain irritated, and even Kija and Shina continue to stand alert without any rest. Jaeha makes fun of them, but they notice that he has dark circles under his eyes as well, which means he hasn't rested either. He tells the boys that he is only worried because she is a girl, and Shina notices that the harbor ships are moving. Yona and the girls get transported into the ship where Ao chews off their ropes. They then cause a ruckus to gain the guard's attention, and when he arrives near them, Yun and Yona knock him out. They tell the girls about their plan, and one of the girls named Yuri decides to help them out. Her father builds ships, so she offers to show them a shortcut, and she feels motivated by Yona's words about fighting against Kumji. The pirates attack Kumji's ships, and Yona's boys rush on the ships to search for her. Jaeha jumps from one place to another to help his comrades out, and there doesn't seem to be any end to Kumji's men since they have hired mercenaries to help them out. Yun lures some men inside, and Yona and Yuri release a few barrels at them, which knocks them down. The men get up, and one of them threatens to stab Yuri as he strangles her. Yun thinks of an idea, so he tells the men that he is a pirate in disguise who lured the women to help him escape. The officials start to beat him, and he reveals that he has rigged the deck with explosives. They don't believe him, but they don't want to take a chance, so one of them takes the women back while another one of them takes Yun to the deck. Yona then struggles with the guy and ends up coming across a bow. Yuri knocks the guy down while Yona runs to the deck. The pirates beat down Yun, and Yona arrives with her bow. She runs to Yun's side and manages to get the firework from his sash, after which she lights up the firework. Shina notices the fireworks going off and points Hak towards the direction of the main ship. The mercenaries start beating up Yona and almost kill her, but Jaeha arrives at the last moment to save her. He beats all the mercenaries, and Yun cries in Yona's arms for being unable to protect her. More mercenaries arrive from another ship to defeat Jaeha, but Shina also arrives while Kija and Hak fight the mercenaries on the other ships. Gaigan tells them that they need to find Kumji to end this battle. The two continue to fight mercenaries while Jaeha tries to sink the ship full of mercenaries. Yun deduces that Kumji must be near the main ship, as he would never stray from the girls, and he explains that Kumji must be in the neighboring ship because it has too many mercenaries. Kumji learns from his subordinates that many ships have already been sunk by the pirates, and that they are unable to go against the group of guys that have come with the pirates. The subordinate explains that they have already overtaken the main ship and that 2 captured girls were actually part of the pirates. Kumji quickly realizes that the red-haired girl must be Yona, who glared at him with hostility, and the subordinate suggests that they should retreat before the monsters step on their ship. Kumji points the arrow towards his own subordinate for telling him to retreat, and he refuses to let all his hard work go to waste because of some pirates. Jaeha and Shina step onto Kumji's ship, and Yun tells them that he must be somewhere under the deck. The captured girls tie up the defeated mercenaries, and Jaeha goes under the deck, where a pirate tells him that Kumji is in a secret room behind the wall. Jaeha rushes in all alone but discovers that Kumji has already escaped. Meanwhile, Kumji uses a small boat to escape, so Jaeha tries to jump after him. Kumji uses his subordinate to defend himself and shoots an arrow towards Jaeha, which injures him. Jaeha falls into the water, but Yona shoots Kumji down from a long distance while recalling how her father was killed. The pirates return to Awa, and the girls decide to throw them a party to thank them. They all celebrate their victory while Yona roams around, thinking if she has gotten better than before. She realizes that she has come too far from the group, so she runs back but bumps into someone. The stranger asks her if she is okay, and Yona recognizes that it's Suan from the voice, so she looks up, which leaves the two shocked. She suddenly recalls how he killed her father, and he wonders if he is seeing an illusion because Taejun told him that she was dead. He asks her if she is really Yona, and Yona recalls how he slept by her side when her mother died to console her. He asks her what she is doing in Awa and mentions that Hak must still be protecting her with his life, which is why she is still safe. Yona stays in shock, and he mentions that he came to Awa to investigate the human trafficking that was being done by Kumji. Suan soldiers suddenly appear, so he quickly hides Yona in his cloak, and the general scolds Suan for playing around with a girl while they are on a mission. Yona notices his sword and tries to grab it, but he stops her. The soldiers leave, and he tells Yona that he cannot die yet before leaving. She cries her heart out, and Hak finds her. Suan returns to his soldiers who mentions how they have seen him with a woman for the first time ever and they return to Hiryu Castle. Yona returns to the pirate ship where she acts like she is very happy but she starts being extremely clumsy. Jaeha notices that something is off based on her behavior and based on how Hack is emitting a lot of bloodlust. She finds the hairpin that Suan gave her while changing clothes and she goes to see the sunset while thinking about everything that has happened after she left the castle. Hack suddenly appears beside her and says that he will stick close to her since he is her bodyguard. She tells him that she is leaving Awa tomorrow so he should come with her and the rest of the boys also appear behind her. They complain about how she did not tell them and she asks them to come with her too. They all have fun at night while Jaeha sits all alone and Yona goes to him. He lets her play an instrument which she is obviously useless at and he calls her a pain in the butt. She tells him that she is leaving tomorrow so he can finally relax. Sometime later, everyone goes to sleep except the pirates who refuse to sleep because they won't be pirates when they wake up. They cry because Jaeha will be leaving them tomorrow and Jaeha just uses his harp to play a lullaby which puts them to sleep. He goes to Gaigan who mentions that Jaeha is following his destiny as the dragon warrior and he explains that he cannot relax whenever Yona leaves his sight. Gaigan tells him to leave and he recalls how he met her for the first time. The next day, the group prepares to leave but Yona notices that Jaeha did not come to see them off. Gaigan gives her a lot of senjutsu flowers as a parting gift and Yona cries in her arms before bidding them farewell. Shina suddenly cuts down a tree after leaving Awa and Jaeha falls down. He reveals that he is coming with them but he will still do whatever he wants in their company. After a while, they hunt for food and talk about how they will find the yellow dragon next. They set up camp in the middle of the forest and Yona butchers the deer before praying for it. A yellow-haired beggar appears beside her with a growling stomach and a drooling mouth. They invite him to eat with them and Yona and Hack discuss what the yellow dragon might look like while the other three dragons talk between themselves about something. Iha suddenly reveals that the beggar eating with them is the yellow dragon and they all get shocked. He tells them to relax and introduces himself as Zeno. He explains that he was just wandering about and did not care that the other dragons were nearby. Kija asks him if he feels anything after looking at Yona who is the master of the four dragons and Zeno reveals that he does not. Yona invites him to join them and he easily agrees which surprises them. He explains that he was wandering around anyways and their food was tasty so this is his way of thanking them. He greets them one by one and Kija asks him to show them his powers. Zeno reveals that his body is tough so Hack punches him out of nowhere to check if it's true but Zeno easily falls to the ground. They mention how Hack is just unusually strong and Kija starts rambling about how the ancient Brotherhood of Dragons has finally reunited in their generation. At night, Zeno helps Yona carry the wood and says that their whole group is very cute. The next day, they head towards Ixu's house but find him injured inside. Yun quickly picks him up and he explains that he slipped. Yun quickly treats him up before scolding him and asks him to explain the prophecy to them. Ixu tells them that the prophesied sword and shield will also appear in some time now and they will finally understand the whole prophecy when that happens. Zeno asks Yona what she wants to do with the four dragons now and whether she wants to retake the throne or not. After a while, the dragons ask Hack about Suan but he refuses to answer them and Jaeha says that he must have been very dear to Hack before betraying them. Ixu goes to Yona who mentions how the kingdom was not happy with her father's rule and that she met many people who helped her throughout the way. She declares that she wants to help the people and reveals that she could not bring herself to kill Suan when she saw him. Sometime later, she trains all alone in the rain but Hack tells her to stop and takes her to a cave to escape the rain. She mentions how Jaeha told her that Hack wants her all to himself and says that it must be a lie. Hack says that he wants to show the people the new Yona who is doing her best for their sake. She falls asleep after a while and Hack holds her tightly. The next day, they head out on their journey again but will it really be so easy? Will Yona get her kingdom back and will the prophecy come true? Comment your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more anime recaps.